Okay, so today we're talking about rational functions and asymptotes. Oh, I forgot to reconnect after I restarted. Okay, so a rational function, guys, remember, is a polynomial being divided by another polynomial. The domain is all real numbers except for where the denominator equals 0. And an asymptote is a point on the graph that it avoids. So a vertical asymptote happens where all the values of the denominator are equal to 0. And then a horizontal asymptote happens in two different situations. The first one is if my degrees of the numerator and denominator are the same, then I divide my leading coefficients. If my degree of my denominator is higher than my degree of my numerator, I get y equals 0. And then if the numerator degree is higher, then there is no horizontal asymptote. It's all up here. It was English. So, numbers 1 and 2 want us to find the asymptotes of the following rational functions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the denominator and set it equal to 0. And then I want to go ahead and solve for x. Then I want to go ahead and divide both sides by 3. So then I get x squared equals negative 1/3. And if I go to square root both sides, what happens on my right side? It's going to give me an I, but asymptotes only happen with real numbers. So there's no solution, no vertical asymptotes. Okay, then I need to figure out if I have any horizontal asymptotes. So I want to look at my degrees of the numerator and denominator. Are they the same? Which one is higher? The denominator. So when my denominator is larger, that gives me a horizontal asymptote of y equals 0. Bless you. So then, same thing for number 2. I want to start off by taking my denominator and setting it equal to 0. Then I want to add 1 to both sides. Then I get x squared equals 1. Then I can square root both sides. What do I get when I square root both sides? What? Plus or minus 1. So then my vertical asymptotes are at x equals 1 and x equals negative 1. Bless you. Okay, then I want to look and see if my degrees are the same or different. The same. So when my degrees are the same, I just divide my coefficients. Okay, so what is my horizontal asymptote? 2. Y equals 2. Horizontal is always y equals. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is a hole in the graph. Holes in the graph happen when there's a vertical asymptote. So I just find my asymptotes like normal, and my vertical asymptotes will also be my holes. So first thing I want to do is I want to take my denominator and set it equal to 0. So what multiplies to negative 6 and adds to negative 1? Yeah. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to take my factors and set them each individually equal to 0 because of the 0 product property. Well, you need to tell me what those numbers are. So the first thing they're going to be is holes, but they're also my vertical asymptotes. I just realized Hugo's not here. I realized that when my R in vertical looked like a V, and I'm like, why isn't Hugo complaining? I would write them separately. Well, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Is the top the same thing?
What? I only use the numerator to decide my horizontal. It doesn't ever affect the vertical. The top of the fraction? Yeah, you just asked me if the top's the same thing. What were you asking?
Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
I said the denominator is always used to find vertical asymptotes, and the numerator is only used to decide if I have a horizontal, and then what it is.
So the whole vertical asymptote.
Oh, right. So
They're not over there?
over there. Where?
He's stealing my phone.
So there would be no horizontal, or it would be 0?
So, if I take a look at my degrees, are they the same or different? The same. So, I take my coefficients and divide. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So, my horizontal asymptote here is what? No, like, yeah, y equals 1. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about is domain, and I use my vertical asymptotes to determine my domain. So normally my domain with polynomials is all real numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity, but because I'm dividing by a polynomial, anything that makes my denominator 0 is not part of the domain. So I'm going to start off by finding my vertical asymptote like normal. So I take the denominator and set it equal to 0. Okay. Then what I can do is I can divide everything by -2. Which gives me x cubed minus 8 equals 0. Oh, congratulations. Okay, so then what do I want to do?
Add a.
Okay, how do I solve it? It's just 2? I just know it's 2?
I know it's 2.
Cube root it. So whenever I cube root something, or in general take an odd root, so the number is odd, that's on the little radicand, I only get one answer, and it keeps the sign. So 8 was positive, so the cube root of 8 is a positive 2. That is not my answer. So x equals 2 is my vertical asymptote.
Why did you have to do a horizontal whiteout? You could have just done a vertical one. Other dots.
My hand doesn't move that way.
You just have to turn.
I have to turn the paper, and
You don't have to turn the paper. You just turn the white out.
I said my hand doesn't move that way.
You don't have to turn your hand. Just turn the white out.
And you drew a box, but you divide over it just to draw another
Yeah,
box.
why?
Oh my goodness.
So my domain
I can't with this plastic.
is everything except for that 2. So negative infinity to 2, parentheses because the 2 is not included, unioned with 2 to positive infinity. So this is saying all of my numbers on the left side up to 2. So like positive 1.9 repeating, skip 2, and then start up again at like 2.0001, and then count on forever.
What is that? That's like, that's
If the parentheses means that it's included, why is it on the infinity?
Infinities aren't specific numbers. So, because you only give brackets to things that you can define. Okay, any other questions on domain? Yes. Yeah. Okay, so then my horizontal asymptote Are my degrees the same or different? Same. So I divide my coefficients and I get negative 3 over 2. Questions here?